gifts that God has given to us to build homes, communities, and hope. That is our Habitat mission. Seeking to put God's love into action, Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Through this mission, we hope to achieve our vision, which is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. There are two families who were instrumental in the work of Habitat and the Habitat story. They're the Fullers and the Gemmers, and I'll speak about both of them throughout. So it was this scripture that I just read that motivated Bob and Myra Gemmer to sell their second home and donate the proceeds to build Habitat Collier. So they clearly felt like they didn't need two, and the proceeds from one could help others. And when they did this, they were inspired by the other family I spoke of, Millard and Linda Fuller. So the Fullers attained a millionaire lifestyle, but they were dissatisfied with it. They did not believe they were living the life that God intended for them. Eventually, they sold all of their possessions to seek a life of Christian service to others, as the Bible suggests we do. Millard Fuller grew up in extreme poverty in Alabama, and he determined he wanted to be a millionaire by the time he was 30. To his credit, his dream came true. But after a few years, his wife Linda felt that having all of these material things was not really fulfilling, and it wasn't their life's purpose. So she didn't believe, and she spoke with him about it, and together they concluded they were not living as God intended for them. So now back to the Gemmers, the people who founded Habitat Collier. They learned of the work of the Millers, offering a hand up to those in need of affordable housing. They were working in a housing ministry. So both the Fullers and the Gemmers embraced the teachings of the Bible to find what they believed was their true purpose and what God called upon them to do. As I said, the Fullers made the decision to sell all of their possessions and join the work of a man called Clarence Jordan at Koinonia Farms in Americus, Georgia. Clarence was a farmer and a Greek New Testament scholar. He was troubled by the racial and economic injustices that surrounded him. Now, this is back in the 60s. Clarence dedicated his life and ministry to advocating for those living in poverty and for the inequality that he saw among people. Clarence is considered to be the spiritual father of Habitat for Humanity. Clarence and his partners created this interracial Christian farming community called Koinonia Farm, and the word koinonia means communion of fellowship. Millard and Linda went to visit him on the farm just to explore what opportunities they might pursue for the future. They thought they would meet with him for a few hours and then move on. But once they got there and met him, they ended up choosing to make it their home. Along with the other Koinonia partners, the group began a partnership in housing. The mission was to sell and build quality, affordable homes at cost with a no-interest mortgage for low-income, hardworking area families. And this is the founding principle upon which Habitat is built. And it stems from Bible teachings. Habitat is a Christian organization, and we remain focused on our Christian roots. This concept centered on those in need of decent and affordable places to live, working side by side with volunteers to build their future homes. And I know many of you have volunteered with Habitat, whether it was here or somewhere else that you've lived prior. Those homes would be built at no profit, and new homeowners' house payments, the mortgages, would be combined with the no-interest loans that they received and additional funds that were donated by those who had money to share. And this became a fund for humanity, and that was what was used to build more homes. Throughout his life, Clarence advocated for those living in poverty and for equality for all. Advocacy for the underserved is a critical component of the work that Habitat Collier does. Clarence believed in breaking the cycle of poverty. He believed that was so important for people to break the cycle of poverty. And Habitat believes that the foundation of an affordable home begins to break that cycle and builds generational security for families. Clarence and his fellow Koinonia residents were fiercely committed to the equality of all people and to creating opportunity for everyone. even while living in a community that did not understand, welcome, and sometimes they did not even tolerate his views. Sadly, some of these prejudices still exist today. For many in Collier County, there's a stigma attached to living in a substandard apartment or a trailer, and there are many of them here. Parents come to Habitat asking to purchase a home so that their children will have a decent place to live and no longer be embarrassed by their circumstances. When Millard and Linda visited Koinonia Farm, they were inspired by the work and the ideals of what they saw. And Millard said, "It was a great time of transition for us. We'd never heard of Clarence Jordan, but very quickly we got to know this extraordinary man." Millard says, "I felt literally that God had guided us to him." So Habitat Collier hopes to continue the work of inspiring others to be guided in service to the Lord by offering a helping hand to our sisters and brothers in need. The scripture that we read gives us guidance on how to offer a helping hand to those in need, and Kelly reinforced it in her children's message as well. If you have 2 shirts, give one to someone in need. If you have extra food, give to those who are hungry. Do not extort money. Do not make more than you need. Do not charge interest on a loan that you give to someone who is in need. Our community, we are blessed with a community that is generous. Many philanthropists are here. And these people abide by these guiding rules of sharing their wealth, their time, talent, and treasures with those who need more. But the sad reality is the need in our backyard is just tremendous. In our prayer of confession, we spoke of our God of compassion. Those who offer a helping hand are living with the compassion that Jesus directs us to share toward our fellow man. Habitat hopes to offer the opportunity for individuals to put their faith into action by offering this helping hand to someone who needs it. In our confession, we also spoke of how we may be distracted by our own plans and we may be aimlessly enthusiastic. So this might encompass the material ways that become too much a focus of our everyday life. At Habitat, we are driven by the idea that God intends all of God's people to live in dignity and at peace. A stable, safe home is not the only necessity for families, but it is one of the most critical. With the foundation of a home, families grow and prosper. A recurring message from our Habitat homeowners is the genuine gratitude they feel towards those who have given them a helping hand. Habitat is not a hand out, it is a hand up. Families are part of their housing solution. They pay their interest-free mortgage, they build their home alongside volunteers and future neighbors who are also homeowners. They are invested in the process of solving their housing dilemma. So often our families speak about how they wish to pay forward the blessing they have received. Often the first words they speak after being approved to purchase a home or actually closing on their home is that they give thanks to God. They ask God to bless all who made their dream of homeownership a reality. And today I echo those grateful families. I ask God to bless each of us gathered here, and I ask for your prayers for Habitat Collier and the families that we serve. And today I also ask for prayers for President Carter. You may have read yesterday he has declined any future medical care and he's moved to hospice. So at 98, he's made his decision. He's lived a life of service to others. He's the best example of that, and we wish him Godspeed. Thank you all for all that you do.